Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. If I could see you, I'd tell you what's in the box. Here we go. Folks, those of you who have been on my other channel, and I'll drop a link down below there, realize that when I started that channel, it was all technology. And man, we have gone through a ton of 3D printers. We're talking about the Creality Ender 3s, FL Suns, Tevo Tornadoes, and on and on and on and on and on. And we're always looking for the grand poobah when it comes to 3D printers. And for me, the things that I look for most are, number one, print quality. That has to be first. But speed. You know, the average printer is printing at 100 millimeters per second to 150 if you're really lucky. Today, we're cracking open the Creality K1. This is an enclosed printer that stock prints at 600 millimeters per second and at a superior quality. Not to mention the fact that it is already pre-enclosed, which means that you can actually print using the different filaments. So instead of just being stuck to PLA or TPU, you can actually print all the way up to ABS, which to print on an Ender 3 or an FL Sun, you had to enclose the printer. This one will do ABS out of the box. That's huge. So I tell you what, let's crack this gigantic box open. Now, guys, given that if this is correct and it's sitting in the right position, I am actually going to flip this over and open it from the bottom and hopefully just slide this out onto the table correctly because it is heavy. So let's crack this thing open and see what we get in the box. I was very excited when this printer came out, and I, just like everybody else, had watched a couple reviews on it to see what it was able to do because frankly that speed means a lot. I mean, it takes a long time. I'll give you an example. Scully. If you watch my other channel, you'll know that on my Less Than Lethal, I shoot these 3D printed plastic skulls. Well, they're printed at 40% infill density, which means that one of those skulls can take up to a day and a half to print. That's just, it takes too long. So I was looking for options and alternatives. Oh, hey, this is going to work, guys. All right, there you go. Let's flip this box all the way over and see if we can take the box straight off of it properly. Whoa, check it out. All right, get rid of the box. Yeah, good place for it over there. All right, so we've got our quick start guide and a bunch of stickers. That's kind of cool. All right, getting to the printer itself, I'm going to do this very slowly, guys, because honestly, I do not know what I'm doing. That is a cover of some sort. Taking off some foam. And the foam comes off the side. There we go. Look at this, guys. Oh, my gosh. Hopefully Stumpy is getting a view of this. This is crazy. It's like a mad scientist lair in here. All right. There is a power cable right here. And it looks like we get a, looks like a mounting bracket of some sort. It's a port cover. Oh, it's a handle. I got you. I got you for the little door. Okay, taking this foam out. There we go. And guys, I'm going to give you a look down in here. Now, down in the printer, there was what appears to be, this looks like your, this is the control panel that is on the front of the machine. Those look like the bracket mounts for the filament spool. And, oh, look at this. They give you a little test package of filament. Guys, this is kind of cool because you can see that actually has some volume to it. Generally speaking, on Creality Ender 3s, they ship you out like this little teeny spool of cable that's not enough to make anything. You can't even make the test prints on it. So I like the fact that you actually get this and you can actually put it in there. Now, I have been told that these are called hyper PLA. Now, I'm going to see if you can get up close on that. Supposed to be high-speed PLA for printers that print this fast. The truth is, total transparency, I don't think it matters. There's no different chemical makeup that I can find. So we're going to use theirs, though, for our first print so we can get a kind of an idea of exactly how far it's going to go. All right, so let me get the guide out of here. And then I'm going to clear the bench here a little bit more. Let's see if we can get the boxes and foam out of here. Looks like you get a box, guys, that actually has some tools in it. So that looks like a nozzle cleaner, but that is huge if that's what that is. You get some of the blue cutters that is inside every Creality Ender 3. That is an adhesion stick, like glue. I find that interesting, guys, because in my experience, when you have got a printer that is leveled perfectly, you don't have to have adhesion. But if you do, this is glue, basically just Elmer stick glue. That works great, or also hairspray. That tends to work real well too. So, all right, so you get what's like a squeegee and an actual wrench. That's like a legitimate actual metal wrench. And some metal grease. I'm assuming that is going to be for the rails. And you get a 16 gigabyte thumb drive, which is another interesting thing. So no more printing off the little micro SDs. That's kind of cool. Okay, looks like some double-sided tape of some sort. And your little obligatory bag of tools. Now, I don't know how many tools we're going to need for this because it looks like it's pretty much pre-assembled. But let's continue down the trend here, see what else we got in here. All right, looks like we've got one more piece of foam. There we go, nothing in that. All right, I'm going to lift this up out of here. And I'm doing this all on my own, guys, so no laughing about my funky technique here. There we go. And check it out. Let me get this tape off so we can see it properly together. There we go. Ooh, that's okay. We'll do that together because that's almost like ASMR relaxing right there. Hang on. There we go. And pull this piece of tape. All right, here we go, guys. Ready? This is like the pulling of the plastic piece is always one of the relaxing parts. Oh, I love the sound of new plastic and the smell. I really do. All right. Let's get that off of there. Here we go. Apparently, we got a piece of plastic on the side as well. Yeah, plastic all over the place here. And we'll peel that off. There we go. Guys, look at that. That is slick. Yeah, I'm doing this from a weird angle. No laughing at me here. Nice. Which means, and you see on Stumpy here, we got one more on this side. Look at that. Off she goes. This is always one of the best parts, man. Seeing all that new technology coming out of that fresh plastic. Awesome. All right. Trash off the table. Turning this towards Stumpy so you guys can get a view of it. Look at that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get our handle on this door because without even looking at the instructions, I can tell how this mounts. All right, guys, so as you can see on Stumpy here, we've got our door handle on, and it works perfectly. It is magnetic, by the way, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and we're going to mount our control panel right down here. Now, this looks to be, guys, if you look at the back of the control panel, you've got a simple plug-in connector, and you can't really plug it in wrong because of the way the pins are. And you've got two little brackets here to attach to the front of the printer. So let's go ahead, and we're going to connect up our cable. Now, once you've got that in place, guys, you can see it'll slide right down in place and lock in. Then these little hooks will hook into the front and slide down into place. Just like that. And you'll know you're into place because the door will be able to open. See that? So if you're locked down in the correct position, you will be able to unlock the door. Take us off another piece of plastic here. All right, guys, so now that we're at this point, the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to make absolutely certain, and I got a little more of that tape. Gotta love that. See, can't get away without pulling the tape. The next thing we do is want to make absolutely certain before you power this up, all Creality printers that come in switched to 230 volts by default. Now, on the Ender 3s, it's a real easy switch on the side there on the actual power supply. On this one, let me show you where it's at. And I'm going to try to get Stumpy up closer. So the door is over here. On the left-hand side of the door, you've got a very deep inset switch there. I'm not sure if Stumpy's going to see that. But as you can see, by default, it is set to 230. And we're going to use this funky, what I thought was a cleaner, to go down there, and we're going to switch it over to 115. There we go. And verifying that we are now, yep, we are now on 115. Guys, that's critical. You plug this thing in wrong like that, you will blow it up, and you're going to have a really bad day. So let's not do that. All right, guys, so our next step is we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount the filament holder on this. And we're going to flip this around so I can show you how to do that on Stumpy here. It's actually really, really, really super simple, guys. So you got your filament holder here. You actually have a hole here that's got notches in it. So you're going to put that in and lock that into place just like that. This is where your filament roll sits. So it sits behind the machine and it's pulled up into the extruder, which is actually a pretty cool setup right there. All right. The next thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to move into the actual printer itself. Let me open this up for you. Now, I can see it from the top, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing down here. Now, we're going to be pulling this protective seal off here in a second, but you've got these 3 little yellow arrows here, and I'm hopefully Stumpy is picking these things up. You got one here, here, and here. And what these little arrows are is they are what I guess they're shipping or docking screws. You have to pull those screws out before you power the machine, because on this unit, the bed actually raises and lowers. Let me open that back up so you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. The bed actually raises and lowers, and this keeps it in place when it's shipping so it doesn't get damaged. So we're going to remove that one. There we go. And one more over here on the side. You've got to remove those shipping screws. If you power this up without that, what's going to happen is this screw is going to try to spin to raise that bed, and it's going to grind, and it'll jack your system up. So don't do that. All right, we'll go ahead and pull these little cutesy little arrows off too, because I don't think we need them in there now that we've got the screw out. There we go. And get that one, and this one. Not that it would matter to leave the little arrows in there, but we'll just be perfectionists. So there's the little arrows you're looking for. So those little arrows are pointed at those silver screws to remove. Okay, go ahead and peel off our protective layer here. It's kind of like a cell phone here. Brand new. Look at that. Nice. Very, very nice. Now, anytime you do a print, guys, and we're going to do our test print here in a second, this is that stick glue I was telling you guys about. If you use Elmer's purple stick glue, even though it goes on purple, it comes off very easily when you're pulling your print off. This stuff that they give you from the factory, I don't know. We're going to test it here in just a second, but I've tried generic stick glue, and it just doesn't adhere. This stuff definitely should, and I know for a fact that the Elmer's definitely will. So, all right. So let's go ahead, and we've got that ready. We got that ready. The next phase we're going to do is, guys, we're ready to go. So we're going to plug this thing in, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing leveled before we do anything else. Another really nice thing about this model is that it's got auto leveling built into it without having to add a BL Touch or anything like that. And I am really curious to see how well that works, because auto leveling with me is always rather hit and miss. So this should be pretty interesting. And I'm going to keep Stumpy aimed right at the level here so we can actually see the menus. And I'm going to connect it up right here. Cable a little short for me here. There we go. Because I want to be able to do this print. I want to try to do a time lapse for you guys because I really do want to see what it'll do. Okay, so we're plugged in. We're connected. Let's turn it on. All right. Ooh, it's got very pretty internal lights. I did not know about that. And as you can see, get Stumpy here, it is booting up the interface down there. All right, machine starting. Okay, let's go ahead and pick our language, which is English. And it says to remove those screws, which we did. We removed all those screws, and then we're going to hit OK. And welcome to. Please keep the blue cable in the diagram clear and click OK. All right, looks like everything in here appears to be clear. I don't see any blue cable that they're talking about, but here we go. All right, please set up your network. Oh, so guys, this is very interesting. This is going to hook up on the Wi-Fi to allow us to print wirelessly, guys. That is huge. I have that set up on all my 3D printers here, but I'm having to do it through a Raspberry. This has it integrated. I like that quite a bit. All right, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and we're going to get this connected up to our network. Guys, I'm going to turn this for 1 sec so I can get the password in because I can't see anything there. I'm going to turn it back around. All right, guys, so we are now connected up to our network here, and we're going to hit next. Here we go. And it's asking what time zone we're in. So you can set your own time zone in there. Honestly, let's see. We're central here. I am in central time in Texas, but I have no idea. You know what? Whatever. We'll come back to that. Okay, so Creality Cloud binding. So you can bind this to the cloud in order to bind the device up. So we'll do that later on. We're going to do our self-inspection. There we go. And it is now checking everything. It's checking the nozzle. It's checking the movement, and we'll see if it's going to go through the leveling. I will fast forward through this, and we'll see what happens next. Guys, we're going to come back in for this. I want to show you this. Look here. See how the bed is going up? So instead of the printer with the print head actually pulling up, and I'm going to keep Stumpy focused on this here, what's happening is this is actually going up, and it'll pull the bed down as it prints. So the print head itself just moves along the X and Y axis and doesn't actually go up and down, which is pretty cool. And as right now you can see what it's doing is it is auto leveling. And I cannot tell you how wonderful auto leveling is. Look at that. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing, let it run through its whole sequence of auto leveling, and we'll be right back with you. Now, I wanted to show you a little bit of this because it's really cool to watch this happen. You can actually see where it is setting up, exactly how it's leveling, and what points it's going to. By the way, that little LED light in the front of this thing is really, really cool. So you're going to be able to see your prints as they're printing. Now, of course, one thing that I'm thinking that is really cool about this is auto leveling should be a little easier since you've actually got a tri-axis on there. Once the level is solid, it's not going to go off like it would on like a Creality Ender 3 when you're dealing with steel springs at the edge of each one of the corners. This thing should stay leveled for the most part all the time. But as you can see, it's going through the leveling process. All right, guys, so now that this is doing its auto level thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load the Creality software. They have their own Creality slicing software. So I'm going to get that installed, and we'll get a test print on here when it's done. Here we go. All right, guys, so we are now all auto leveled and ready to go. Let's go ahead, and we want to go ahead and load up some filament so we can get a test print running. Now, on this disc, it did have that new slicer. The Creality slicer also allows you to not only slice with this particular printer, but it also has the slicing ability for the Ender 3s and the other printers as well. So it looks like they may be taking a stab at Cura, but we'll see how their slice program works because we're going to try one of their cats right out of this. All right, so we're going to plug our USB cable in. Before we can actually print, though, we need to load up some filament. So let's go ahead here, and we're going to go to, yes, we know that. All right. Let's find our menu, settings. All right, guys, so we're back with you. I'm going to move Stumpy around to the back here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up the extruder to whatever temperature your filament is. In this case, we'll go ahead and we'll run it up to about 230 degrees. Actually, 220 will be fine. All right, we're going to let that ramp up. Once the extruder has heated up, we're going to place our filament right here on the roll. Let me back him up so you can see this here. There we go. And zoom you down. There we go. Now, your extruder on this thing is actually built into the print head, so you don't have to worry about it getting the same kind of feed jams that you normally would on some of the other Creality systems. And this will detect if it runs out of filament and immediately stop or pause the print, which is another really big bonus of this particular printer. The loading mechanism on the filament is probably my only complaint because it's a little more finicky than a standard Creality Ender 3 or pretty much any of the other printers. But it's not super hard, so we're just going to do it together here. Okay, let's take our filament here, and we're going to cut the filament to a point. I'm going to show you that, probably about 45 degrees. There you go. The filament is going to come down here and feed up. Okay, so you're going to go up through here. All right, so you're going to feed it up, and as you can see, it's going up through here. Now I'm going to try to get Stumpy up so you can see what we're doing here. There we go. All right, so we're going to feed the filament all the way through here. We've got our extruder unlocked right now. All right, we're going to run this up, 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 up. You can see there it is. It's going to go all the way in there. Now we want to make sure before we go all the way up, yep, it's already heated, guys. It went to 220 that quick. So we're going to go all the way into the extruder. There you go, and we're going to lock the extruder right there. Now, from that point, let me move Stumpy back to the front here. From that point, we should be able to, hang on one sec here, I want you guys to get a good view of this. There we go. From this point, we should be able to extrude some of the filament through here so that we can see that it's coming in. So we're going to extrude. There we go. And I can hear it going in there. There we go. And it looks like it's going to go to 240. So for your loading and unloading, it's going to be at 240. But look how fast that's heating up. I mean, that went from 220 to 240 in that period of time. That's pretty impressive. All right, it is extruding. Now, it will over-extrude on an initial load. That's one thing that I did figure out about this right off the bat. So you got to kind of expect that. Let me unlock this again, make sure that we are locked into, or it's in all the way. There we go. And it is actually extruding in there. And there it comes, as you can see. There it is. All right, so we are now loaded with our filament. So let's go back home. So let's go ahead and print a file, shall we, since we got this. And you know what, I'll leave this open so you guys can watch this, and I'll try to time-lapse this. Now, a normal benchy takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the size. They do have a test benchy on here. I do love these menus, guys. It has a picture of what you're going to print, which I think is extremely cool. But let's go ahead and let's do this benchy here. And it's telling you it's going to take 3.7 meters, 210 degrees. So let's see if it goes. We're going to print. And we're going to, and there it goes. All right, guys, so it looks like it is heating up, and it's aligning right now. Still got that little piece of filament hanging on there, but I'm sure that'll go away. Let me re-angle you here so you can see what's happening. This is the fun part. Boy, she is ramping up. And watching our temperatures, the bed is at 39 degrees, 40. It's going to go up to 50. What do we think of the Creality K1? Okay, look, I'm going to show this to Stumpy. That did that entire benchy in less than 14 minutes. Guys, I haven't decided yet. I'll probably time-lapse that, but the truth is, watching it print looks like it's in time-lapse. I mean, it is insanely, incredibly fast, and you can see the quality on that. It is seamless. It is absolutely a fantastic quality. For the speed that printed, I thought for sure we were going to see something, but we didn't. It was absolutely phenomenal, and it used very little filament on that, which kind of surprised me too. But, guys, the only thing I could complain about, if you can really call it a complaint, and I really can't, is the loading mechanism for the filament is a little bit finicky, because when you're feeding that filament up in there, you have to unlock the extruder, feed the filament up while it's hot, feed it up, put it down there, kind of get it to seat on the extruder, and then lock it and extrude it. And if you're right on it and it binds, it will pull the filament in. See, on a standard printer, your extruder's over here and your print head's over here, so you're feeding it through something here, which is easy to see. Here you can't really see it. It's all kind of one encased unit. Other than that, I have zero complaints. This thing is so fast that I cannot even tell you how fast it is and properly convey it. Listen, if you have the means and if you really want to get to 3D printing without having the muss and fuss of an Ender 3 or an FL Sun or a TiVo or whatever, this is definitely the way to go. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This one was for you because I'm going to be printing some stuff for both this and my other channel on this printer. It is going to get worked out, so we'll probably do a follow-up video in a couple months and see how she's held up, because it's going to get beat down, let me tell you. Have a fantastic week, guys. Bye-bye.